Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to Three Swords Productions. I'm Nathan, back in the booth with Alex here.
Hello, hello.
We got a fun one today. A little bit of LinLin. Starter LinLin in the yellow versus Law. You ready to go for it?
I'm ready.
Let's go. Yeah, so you guys have been playing a lot of LinLin. You did like a gauntlet of it the other night?
Yeah, we didn't plan to do a starter mom gauntlet, but that's how it ended. Steven found out he really loved the deck, and so I was like, well, let's just run every deck into it. And, still performs like a typical yellow deck at times, sometimes a vanilla leader, but sometimes not. And I think it allows the deck to have a lot more creativity than Katakuri does, because a lot of those decks are pretty cookie cutter.
Sure. Yeah, I don't think there's too much different from the stock Katakuri list at this point. I think he was playing like a couple Daifukus, but that's also just like something that's been creeping into Katakuri, I think. So pretty same there. It's just a different leader. And then from the Law side, this is still what we know is tried and true Law. It's set 2 Law, no changes for set 3. Just not playing Vistas anymore because Vistas have kind of fallen off.
Yeah, I've seen some Law lists that have done well at tournaments. And I think the most interesting thing is them not running Searcher Nami anymore.
Sure.
It bottoms decks all their green Supernova stuff, especially the Bonnies. And instead they're running Starter Nami to have a better matchup against Whitebeard and just abuse extra Dawn.
Yeah, I played Starter Nami for a little bit. I didn't mind it. This one's currently playing the Searcher Nami, but I can definitely understand the feeling to want that. But yeah, just leading off here, going first, playing out any one drop that I can here. Makino seems like one that's going to be less impact than the Otama, so we'll go for that. And Steven starts off with a Charlotte Pudding. Look at the top 4. Parasparrow looks like it's something there that could be quite good to come out.
Yeah, early bodies are always good versus decks like Law and Zoro.
And then, oh, the Strucin. Strucin is usually a 2K, but in this matchup specifically, it is pretty strong to be able to stop the Law player's board from getting too out of hand.
Yeah, that's some interesting tech. Straussen, doesn't need any Dawn to swing into a Makino. But yeah, I suppose like for example, if it was like a Parasparrow,
yeah,
if you can give up a trigger that you don't care about, or you don't want a Thunderbolt, typically in Katakuri, yeah, you could throw away that trigger. But this deck can actually stack the Thunderbolts, so it's more relevant in this deck than Katakuri.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense, actually. Stacking them in your life is pretty good. We see Dan come down, add another Otama to hand, and then we play out another Makino. Passing back. All right, so figuring out here from Steven's side, probably the Parasparrow makes a lot of sense. Card doesn't counter, and it's a good body on the board. So come across for 6K. I will take it. Definitely want a little bit more action in my hand at the moment. I have another Dan and Starter Nami off the top. Or not Starter Nami. You got me going now. Starter Nami is pretty good here to add to the board.
You know what we say, the first is always free. Take that first lead.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the biggest problem going on in my hand right now is a lack of green characters. We only have the Starter Law. We haven't been able to find anything to help fix that.
Yeah, that's something as I'm facing the Law opponent, I would definitely notice that they're like all heavy on one color, because then you know what they're trying to spawn in,
Right.
Like if it's a full red board, Law has to spawn in, if anything. If it's a full green board, Luffy or Zoro can spawn in. And then you can try to play around that. Sometimes if you're choosing, which character to attack or hit with removal, sometimes keeping them on just one color doesn't let them abuse both colors.
Yeah, definitely important to recognize that from the opponent's side when playing against Law. We saw Nami come down and add Chopper to hand, so we'll have that blocker in the future. Blockers generally are pretty good against yellow, but a lot of times against this LinLin deck specifically, having just one isn't enough. You're going to need multiples. Things like Thunderbolt and the Strucins can really crack through those. Yep, and then we play the Dan, add another one, so like I said, we'll have 2 there, which is pretty good. We see another Jewelry Bonnie go to the bottom, so definitely feel that that pain you've said of sending all the Supernovas to the bottom.
Yeah, the Dan not being able to find green 1-drops is definitely very relevant text in the Law deck. And yeah, the fact that the Nami also bottoms the Bonnies. Bonnies are just so good because you can start every turn with searching a Supernova for 2 Dawn and then just pop it right back.
And now we have the full board on the law side, so next turn we'll have something to possibly consider. Like I said, though, only card in hand is the starter law, which is a bit awkward. We don't have any supernovas or heart pirates in play already, so we'll just be adding a body to the board, which isn't bad, but isn't optimal for the law side. From the LinLin side, sorry, different leader. Nothing to attack on the board, so if we're attacks here this turn, it's going to be all to face. And that's what it looks like exactly what Steven's going for.
Yeah, the LinLin's now at 3 life, so the leader ability is live.
Yep. And probably a good consideration. Looks like he's got a couple 4-drops in hand, so can do that, plus play any one of the 4-drops.
Yeah, something LinLin can do is if it wants to preserve life, they can put a sovereignty on top. Or if they want a little bit of control, they can put a thunder on top. Or they can just be aggro and put a cracker on top.
Sure, yeah. Adding a Struce into hand from top of life is pretty good. Like I said, that'll be good later, since he knows he has a chopper to play against. That'll be good to crack through that. And I do take another one since this is a 7k attack. A little bit more than I like to counter out with at this point.
Yeah, the best 2Ks are the ones that have a little extra play. You know, the ones that you won't always get to play should it hit the board, but the ones that can in certain moments.
Mm-hmm. All right, back to the law side. Hopefully we find something good off the top of the deck. It looks like that is... Oh, Luffy. 5-drop Luffy, the rush one. So, not a green character. We are still stuck with just the starter law in hand. We have some interesting lines where we can attack with characters on board, and then we could use the Zoro to attack our opponent and then untap it with the starter law. This is definitely an option I have in my mind. Or we could just use it to use the Dawn to instead attack with the stuff we have on board and keep the Zoro in hand for later. I think both are decent.
Swinging out is pretty scary because Big Mom actually has a board of its own to clear all your cards.
Yeah, I don't think it would be everything, but some amounts of it.
Yeah, and Starter Law is an extremely good addition. It wasn't in the law list at first, but quickly started to become very strong, allowing you to basically also do a little bit of kid leader effect. But instead of with your leader swinging twice, you swing with a Luffy or Big Law twice.
Yeah. Definitely nice with the Luffy. You can get through a lot of blockers twice in a turn, which is a little bit of a surprise sometimes. So definitely useful there. But coming cost for 5 with a Nami with a Makino adding to it. And then figuring out what should we be doing with the Dawn. I think I like the line of not playing the Zoro to the board this turn, instead keeping it in hand for a future turn. I'm just adding the starter law as a body this turn. Something to add a 2k back to her hand in the Makino. But we have some Dawn left over if that's the play. So what would the rest of the Dawn be looking like?
Yeah, all these red cards on the board and in your hand just look like you're...
Yeah, it feels unfortunate. Definitely feels like set 2 Zoro. But, yep. Figuring out what it looks like. Attacking the Brook.
Yeah, I think 5k is the name of the game.
Yeah, I think at this point we're trying to just wear down the hand here. So 5Ks across makes a lot of sense.
Dawn efficiency is also insanely important in Law. You want to use every Dawn max value. That's why like Dagoro made its way into the list.
Yeah, Dagoro was a cool thing that we definitely did in set 2. I tried for a tiny second in set 3, but just felt like I wanted to try a little bit more consistency with the Searcher Namis, but maybe if we go back the other way, it makes more sense. Law ability, add the Makino back to hand and play out the starter law. Nothing to untap, like we said, but still a good body to have on the board. Plus keeps our board untapped as much as we can.
Yeah, playing nice. A 5-drop for 2 mana, still pretty good.
Yep. Play out the Chopper to replace. And then you could consider playing another Chopper here. Also saving the leader attack on the face, just in case Thunderbolt was a top card. Probably was better to wait on that, or to play that, do that earlier, but thankfully our opponent just countered out anyways.
Yeah, it's very awkward, especially with cards like Ace, the Ace deck,
True.
And with all the jet pistol triggers they have in life.
Yep.
That can definitely mess with the law formula. And with random Zoro decks and Whitebeard decks running a 1 or 2 of a Fire Fist, it's definitely pretty scary to try and play.
Yeah, Fire Fist is sometimes a difficult card, huh? Okay, back to the category side. Now is the turn we start to worry about 7 and 8 drops coming down. Definitely difficult things for us to worry about on our side of the board. we're fine with letting the Brook go. We're going to be playing one of these rushers next turn, so no problem there.
Yeah, Law is one of the better decks at holding off at 1 and 2 Dawn. Turns on Radical Beams just like any other red deck. A million blockers, but a specialty of yellow is being able to get rid of your life even without swinging on it.
Yeah. Coming across for 7, we got a nice trigger from the Daifuku. Lets you add a card from your life to your hand, put one from the top on your life, just like the Sanji kind of does, just for 1 Dawn instead. Pitch out of that one.
Just a more complicated draw one.
Yeah. But you get to do some nice effects with life. Though it does look like there was Thunderbolt on top. So it would have been punished had our opponent not countered out. Counter out of this one with Radical Beam. And then 4 Dawn left means... Is that a cracker at the end of the hand there? Maybe. I don't think our opponent can kill us this turn, so it's not worth doing anything like that. Especially with just one more attack. Yeah, there's no way they kill us, but... Come across for 5. Get more cards out of the hand. I think I need to stay probably at 1 life here. Which, in the face of maybe a 10 drop in the future is bad, but...
Yeah, that's something me and Steven have been debating. This game has taught us it rewards us to hold off with 1 life. Going to 0 just forces you to have to, stop a 15k swing every turn if you don't have a blocker.
Right.
You just get a lot more leeway, a lot more cushion to have that 1 extra life. But yellow punishes preserving the life. So you definitely have to get your reps in against yellow and figure out when you should try to preserve it, when you should just take it.
Yeah.
If you're a deck like that can play a bunch of blockers and hold up Radical Beams and guard points, maybe you do go to 0 and then you just hard defend like you're playing Newgate.
Which is, I think, pretty reasonable. And maybe I should have done that there. I could actually see that, but here we are instead. Some rushers in hand. Nothing green on the board except for this starter law. But we did pick up Blocker Law. That's a pretty good addition here.
Yeah, Blocker Law, definitely the MVP in the Law deck. I can't imagine the deck without Blocker Law.
Yeah. And since our opponent has so much life, we're not killing him this turn by any means. So we're going to play a little bit defensive here. Take down the board that is pressuring us. And hopefully force some action with future turns here instead of this turn.
Yeah, the board is actually pretty weak. It's all mid bodies, no bombs yet, which is fortunate because the LinLin can't use the ability with 10 drop, but it actually can with Katakuri and 7 drop.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's mostly just 5Ks and lower on board. So yeah, you can tackle it from before any crazy triggers start popping off. Let me just clear the board, have really good advantage and. Something to help mitigate the fact that LinLin is stacking life is try to take life all in 1 turn.
Yeah.
Because if they start getting incremental life triggers every turn, I think that's a little more problematic.
Okay. Coming across 7 on the Parasparrow. An option to get out of this one, should he want it. Looks like we do have the cards in hand that two counter out for that. I think that is a 10 drop at the end of the hand there too, which will be difficult in the future. But I'm hoping that both these choppers are able to hold off what my opponent's doing enough that I'll be able to finish the game.
Yeah, that's why blockers are good against yellow. If you can keep them on just leader swings or at least 1 bomb swings, then yeah, blockers get a lot of value. That's why yellow has a little bit of trouble against black with their Borsalinas and Fukuros. Every deck does.
Right.
But yeah, that classic 1 Marco 4 drop, just holding off 15k swings.
Yes,
is pretty good.
Definitely important against the yellow decks. Okay, so we do see that one fall as well. And now have a little bit of option. We're definitely wanting to play this Blocker Law this turn, so we will pick up the Dodon, put that out, and then we have Zoro in hand, or we can go for more counterpower with the Dodon. Both are options. Ultimately, I think it's possible with this board now that we would be able to kill our opponents on the following turn. But
yeah,
I can understand.
Eventually, you do replace all your 1 drops with 3 and 5 drops.
Yeah.
Definitely at the start of the game, you see Law with all their 1 drops, and then at the late game, you see them with a whole board of 5 drops.
Yeah.
But yeah, that Thunder Trigger is pretty brutal, hitting the 5 drop Law.
It is pretty good. It was a little awkward. I was trying to play around it like messing up me being able to bounce something back to my hand with the Law ability. So it was awkward that I had to kind of play it that way, but you know.
Yeah, it was always going to hit something, either your starter deck Law, your Luffy.
Right.
But yeah, it was probably the worst possible to lose the blocker.
Yeah, it definitely feels like I wanted the blocker here, but we're going to protect our board as much as we can. 10-drop comes down just like we expect, and we're just hoping that we can hold on for an extra turn in between with both of these blockers in the way. We definitely know Strucin is in the hand from Steven's side, so Strucin it will be able to clear one of those, which can definitely cause a problem. But I think we're just hopeful here that we can get through on some attacks. So 7k come across. Probably a pretty easy take, especially when you know what's on top. Okay. Shirahoshi picks up the hand a little bit.
Shirahoshi pretty relevant as well because it can swing on Makinos. Even if, for example, if there was a way you could tap down blockers, you could attach one to Shirahoshi and swing on a blocker.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry, we didn't actually know it was on top there. That was from the 10-drop. So, my mistake there. But counter out of this one, sure, makes sense.
I'm discarding a 2k and a 1k.
And then the Luffy we know about that I picked up last turn. That can come in for 7. Just trying to get cards out of hand and out of the life.
Yeah, it looks like there's a lot of counter power.
Yeah, there's still that Strucin. Is that a Thunderbolt at the end of the hand there too? So, yeah, there's no way we're getting through this turn ever, but there's no way that I can know that from the Law side.
Yeah, you know, a little tech is you cannot activate Smoothie or Thunderbolt if you're at 0.
Yeah.
So Thunderbolts are truly dead in your hand if you're a yellow player and at 0. But one of the only cards in the deck that can actually take advantage of that is Straussen because he can discard a trigger.
Definitely. But here it doesn't matter anyways. Still kept the 1 life. We can clear out both those things, and there's no way I'm getting out of this with 1 card in hand, so... The disrespect swing with the Shirahoshi trying to get through, I won't let it happen. Yep, coming across, and that is the end of that one. LinLin coming out on top. Let's go back to the booth. All right, so we definitely saw some power from being able to stack the top of the deck there, getting those Thunderbolt triggers from the LinLin. That felt pretty good in this matchup.
Yeah, I think some people have been debating Thunderbolt. It is a hefty cost if you have to manually play it, crit a life, and kill a 5-drop. But
yeah.
I mean, in certain situations, that's very good. I don't know how many times I've fought in Whitebeard or Zoro, and you know they rely on that 4-drop Marco blocker to hold back your 12k, and then you're just like, oh, I have a life to spare. Or even early game, you know, when they play the Marco out early and they have 3 or more life. I mean, I just know that thing's going to be a problem later, so I just crit it and kill it.
That's fair, yeah. All good reasons, and it definitely showed up pretty big here in this matchup, I think. Also, heads up from Steven to be playing the Strucins out and using them aggressively to make sure Law can't...
Yeah, the Straussen was very good tech against the Law. And whenever I play Zoro, I feel like it's not as good, but definitely against Law, it's a lot better.
Yeah, the difference, I think, is that... Law needs it on board for specific reasons, and Zoro just is using it as a body.
To have a leader ability.
Yeah.
And Zoro just swings anyway with all its 1-drops. It doesn't care that you kill one.
They are
reload.
Expendable is probably the best word there for those.
But. Yeah. But it was a good game.
Yeah. Definitely shows that Law wants to rely on those blockers like we know Law to do, but that sometimes it just doesn't matter. They're going to be able to get through with those nice abilities they've got just baked in the deck from the LinLin side.
Yeah, starter deck mom stonks are definitely going up.
Yeah, I think so. I think we've proven that that deck seems pretty good, actually. So big fans of it here on the channel. But if you're still with us, we appreciate it. We are trying to live stream a bunch here with the set 3. We've been doing a lot of that. So if you are interested in watching us live stream a bunch of games, feel free to subscribe. You can also like this video. We'll be going live with a bunch more games, probably about 3 to 5 hours worth of gameplay on the live streams. So if you are interested in that, feel free to check us out. We appreciate it. But for now, this is us signing off. Till the next one. Bye, everyone.